Right. Hello, everybody. Looks like we got a few more participants. I'm sure a few more will join us as we get started. But like I said, happy Monday. Thank you for joining me here today. Today, we're going to be talking about how to understand latitude and longitude and how that's going to apply to your Part 107 written test. So my name is Taylor. If you're new here, I am a flight instructor in Southern California. So I teach people how to fly fixed wing aircraft. I have been with Altitude University since last September to help with the Part 107 side of things. So answer your guys' questions about the material and tests, do these live Q&As. I try to be active in our Facebook group. If you're not already a member of it, it's a great resource to ask questions for your written test, as well as just to connect with other drone pilots. So today we're going to talk about latitude and longitude, and then we're just going to jump straight into the questions that you might see on your written test regarding latitude and longitude. So we'll talk about the definitions and then just do some practice examples, basically. Then at the end, we're going to do Q&A. So if you have questions throughout the session, you can go ahead and throw them in the Q&A chat box, and then I'll get to them at the end, whether they're about today's topic or about any other topics from our course. Go ahead and throw them in there. If I can't answer your question today, you can shoot us an email or I'll reach out to you via the Facebook group. But yeah, and then I've also opened up the chat so you guys can throw messages in the regular chat throughout the session. And when we go through the Q&A at the end, or the top 5 questions, you can throw in your answers there. So to start off, why are we learning about this topic? Well, during your Part 107 exam, you're going to be asked to identify airports on a VFR sectional chart. Now, we do have other sessions for the live Q&A that we get into, like all the other details of a sectional chart and different symbols and stuff. And we'll cover some of them today, but we'll just focus on the latitude and longitude. But part of identifying some of those airports is you're just going to be given coordinates in the question. And then you have to identify that airport given those coordinates. So we'll take a look at how this grid system works. So to start off, we have latitude. Now our lines of latitude, as you can see in this graphic to the right-hand side here, they're horizontal lines. They kind of look like a ladder, or they're in a lateral orientation. That's the best kind of way to remember that these are lines of latitude. But the lines of latitude move in relation to our equator. So as you can see, the 0 degree here is our equator. As we move north, we go all the way up to 90 degrees north. And then as we move south, it goes all the way to negative 90 degrees south. But that 0 degrees here being the equator. So when we're looking at our sectional chart, we're going to be in this top half here because we're in the northern hemisphere. So we're going to be looking between 0 and 90 degrees. Then we have our lines of longitude. So our lines of longitude connect our north and south poles. And when looking at a grid system or at our charts, they're going to be our lines that run vertically. So they run up and down. Now, our lines of longitude, similar to how in our latitude, it was at the equator, and from there we went up 90 and down negative 90, or 90 degrees up north and then 90 degrees south. With our longitude, we have our 0 degrees here, and that is running vertically down the prime meridian, which is in Greenwich, England, which is also where we get our UTC or Zulu time from. But we're going to start here at the 0 degrees, and we can move 180 degrees west or 180 degrees east. Now, when you intersect these two, now we've got our lines of longitude and our lines of latitude, and this is where we can get specific coordinates to put pretty much anything on a map. So you just have to intersect those two bits of information. You can pinpoint exactly where you are or an airport that you're looking for in our examples. So when we're looking at our chart, this is a sectional chart here. You see these thin black lines. Those are those lines of latitude and longitude. Now we can break this down into different quadrants. You see here where my mouse is, or my cursor, we have this little quadrant. Now, some things to identify on here is we see this 35 degrees. Now that's a line of latitude. So that's 35 degrees north. When we're looking at our sectional chart, it's always going to be in north. So we have 35 degrees north here. And then up here, we have 36 degrees north. Now we have 2 boxes between this 1 degree, right? And we actually use minutes in between those degrees. Now, we're not actually talking about time, it's just a unit to measure with. So between 35 degrees and 36 degrees north, we have 60 minutes total. And what I mean by that is if you were to take this one quadrant here, we know that this is 30 minutes because 2 quadrants is 60 minutes. So 60 minutes between each degree. And let's see if I have a zoomed in picture. Okay. This is just a little bit zoomed in to kind of show you what I'm talking about. But one of these quadrants again accounts for 30 minutes. Now you see these little tick marks on the side here. Each one of those tick marks accounts for 1 minute. Then we have this tick mark here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now it's kind of hard to tell here because I can't zoom in on the picture, but this 5th minute here is a little bit longer than the one right below it. So that's really easy to identify 5 minutes. Now it's even easier to identify 10 minutes because they're identified by this longer tick mark here. So it's really easy. We've got 35 degrees north here. We know this quadrant accounts for 30 minutes. Now we have 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and then there's 30. And it's just a really quick and easy way to identify, 10-minute intervals because that tick mark is longer. And the same thing applies to our lines of longitude. It's just going to be from left to right instead of north and south or up and down. So you can see we have 119 degrees west here, 120 degrees west here. Again, 2 quadrants in between because each quadrant accounts for 30 minutes. And then total, that's 60 minutes between each degree. So in this example, it says, find Taft Kern County Airport. This is actually a cool airport. I have flown in and camped there before. But I'll walk you guys through this one. So the first coordinate gives us is, the way you read this is 35 degrees, 10 minutes north. So we've got 35 degrees here. And we know that we're going to be in this first quadrant because it's 10 minutes north. So again, really easy to identify 10 minutes because of the longer tick marks. So we could just jump straight up to 10 minutes. So we're at 35 degrees, 10 minutes north. So imagine we had an imaginary line going all the way across like this, okay? So that's our first coordinate. Then we have 119 degrees, 28 minutes west. So we have 119 degrees here. We have 120 here. We know right down the middle of the two is our 30-minute mark. So instead of counting 28 tick marks up, we're actually just going to go to the 30 minutes and then count 2 minutes back. It's a little bit quicker that way. So we know right here is 30 minutes, and then we're going to count 1, 2 to get us to that 119 degrees, 28 minutes west. And then we would draw a line straight up. And then where that intersects with our other line that we drew earlier puts us right in the general area of where Taft Kern County Airport is. So that's how you would use coordinates to identify specific places on a chart. So like I said, we're just going to jump right into the questions because the best way to really get this down is to just practice. So I'll walk through the first one with you guys, and then the ones after that, we'll go ahead and let you guys throw in some answers. So our first one here, referring to figure 26. Now, if this is your first time in one of these live Q&As, going through these figures, you will be given these figures on your written test. So as you start your test, you are given a supplement book from the testing center, and it's going to have a bunch of legends and figures in it. So this one is specifically figure 26, but the question will tell you which graphic to refer to. So referring to figure 26, what airport is located at 46 degrees, 56 minutes north latitude and 98 degrees, 41 minutes west longitude? So our first bit of information here is 46 degrees, 56 minutes north. All right, so this one, we don't have a picture of the whole figure. You will have a picture of the full figure. Or actually, I'd have to check where it kind of marks off on the test. But anyways, we're going to kind of use a little bit of kind of common sense. Anyways, we kind of have to work around this question in terms of, we have 47 degrees here. We know that we're in the northern hemisphere. So if we move up that number is going to increase to 48. If we're going to move down, we know that number is going to decrease to 46. So we were given 46 degrees, 56 minutes north. Now we can't see 46 on this graph here, but we know that it's below 47 because we're in the northern hemisphere. So we're going to get to the 47 degrees, and then we're going to count back 4 tick marks so that we get to 56 minutes. So here's 47. 1, 2, 3, 4. That would give us 46 degrees, 56 minutes north. So we would draw our imaginary line across like this. And then we have 98 degrees, 41 minutes west. Here we have 98 degrees, and then here we have 99 degrees. Again, we know right down the middle is going to be 30 minutes. We're looking for 41. So we're just going to go straight to the 30. And then we would jump to our 10-minute tick mark, which this one's got a lot going on, but it looks like the 10 minutes is right here. I can see our 5-minute mark. It's a little bit taller than the minute marks next to it. So this is 5 minutes. Here's 10. That longer tick marks identifies 10 minutes. And then, so this would be 30. Now we're at 40, and then 41 minutes. So then we would draw an imaginary line straight up and down like this. And where those two intersect, which was over here, gets us to Jamestown Regional Airport. So our answer here would be C. Thank you, Thomas, for throwing your answer in there. Or Tony, that was really quick, so great job. Okay, refer to figure 23. What is the significance of the flag located at 32 degrees, 22 minutes north and 81 degrees, 18 minutes west? There's a lot going on in this chart, but I will give you guys a few minutes to sort it out, and then I will walk you guys through it. Now, again, just to clarify, the entire chart isn't on here, so we kind of have to work a little bit backwards. You know, 33 degrees is here. We don't see 32 degrees, so you're going to just have to work backwards. We know as we go below that, the number is going to decrease. If we went above that, the number would increase. So just use that to your advantage when trying to solve this answer. You are really quick, Tony. Thanks for the participation. All right, I'll give you guys a minute or two to track that down, and we'll talk about that. So at least it tells us what type of symbol we're looking for. We're looking for a flag. Oh, nice job. That's awesome. Yeah, we can definitely talk about that at the end. I know that there's been some new regulations that we're working on getting incorporated into the course and such. So they're always adding new questions to the question bank. So it's great that you guys are able to let us know when there's stuff on there that we haven't yet gotten to in our course. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and walk through this answer here. So our first piece of information, we've got 32 degrees, 22 minutes north. Like I said, we don't see 32 degrees on here, but we do see 33. We know down, we would find 32 degrees somewhere down here. Halfway would be 32 degrees and 30 minutes north, right? Because each one of these quadrants accounts for 30 minutes. So if we worked backwards, we worked our way down, this here would be 32 degrees, 30 minutes north. Now we're looking for 32 degrees, 22 minutes north. So we're going to count back even further from the 30-minute mark. So we're going to count down 8 from here. So I wish I could zoom in on this. 1, 2, 3. Let's see if it's a little bit clearer up here. Here's the 5-minute mark. I can see that it's a little bit longer. 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're going to draw a line straight across like this. And then we have 81 degrees, 18 minutes west. So let's see, we've got our 81 degrees here. And we know if we continue to the left, that number is going to increase. So we're going 81 degrees, 18 minutes. I'm going to work in this area because we already worked our way down here. So we know that we're somewhere in this quadrant. So we have 81 degrees, 18 minutes. We know this is a 10-minute mark. This is a 20-minute mark. So if we just work back 2, that gives us 18 minutes. So we draw this line straight down and then we intersect it here. So it's asking about a flag. The only flag I see in this area is this magenta flag here. So this symbol is a VFR reporting checkpoint. So it's used between manned aircraft and ATC. It's typically something on the ground that's going to be visible from the air, but it's just so that ATC and pilots can communicate where they're located. But that's what a magenta flag is. It's a VFR reporting checkpoint. Yeah, the only flags on a sectional chart that you're going to see are a VFR checkpoint. I can't think of any off the top of my head. What any other type of flag you would see. So yes, by process of elimination, without having to go through all of that, the simple answer is a VFR reporting checkpoint. What's nice too is on your test, in the beginning of that testing supplement book that you're given, there's actually legends. So I always encourage people to take a few minutes before you really start your test, look at the legends. I have taken numerous written tests without realizing that that was there. But it really gives you the symbols, it gives you the sectional chart legend. So if you were totally blanking on what that symbol is, it might have it in the legend in the beginning of the testing supplement. Yeah, most people do. Like I said, I have taken multiple written tests, and until I started teaching, I didn't even realize that that was in there. So I was always just focused on memorizing it myself. But yeah, anyways. Okay. So this question, we're going to have to use some coordinates as well as identify airspace. So you have been hired to inspect the tower under construction at 46 degrees, 54 minutes north and 98 degrees, 36 minutes west near Jamestown Regional. We're looking at figure 26, area 4. So on the on the written test, when you're looking at these figures, you're going to find these red dots with a white number in the middle. These are not typically on a chart, but they just are on the written test to help you kind of hone in a specific area. So we're looking at area 4 here. What must you receive prior to flying your unmanned aircraft in this area? Now we need to use these coordinates to specify exactly where we are in this area to find out if we're going to be operating in controlled airspace or not. So I'll give you guys a few minutes to go ahead and find those specific coordinates, and then we'll talk about what type of airspace we would be operating in. Awesome. Thank you, Tony. Did you just recently take your test? And follow-up question to that, did you attend any of the live Q&As prior to your test? I'm just curious. Oh, awesome. Yeah, this is definitely, something. Yeah, Thomas, I know. Sorry, I can't zoom in on this. I do believe what I can remember is when you go into the written tests, I believe you can bring a magnifying glass. Now, when you do sign up for it, a screen will pop up and it'll tell you what items you are allowed to bring and what you can't. So definitely verify that when you sign up for your test. But I'm pretty certain you're allowed to bring in a magnifying glass. So that should help when looking at the charts. Because I know it's really small sometimes, and especially in the areas that there's a lot going on, it gets really congested. So double check when you sign up, but I'm pretty sure that you're able to. But yeah, this is definitely material that you have to continue to study. You lose it really quick when you aren't, always using coordinates to plot something on a chart. So that's awesome that you continue to work through the material. Okay, so let's walk through this question. So we've been hired to inspect the tower under construction at 46 degrees, 54 minutes north. Again, Oh, dang it, I gave you guys the answer. Oh, well. Did not mean to do that, but we have 47 degrees north here. We know if we move up, the number is going to increase to 48 degrees. So we got to move down in order to get to the 46 degrees, 54 minutes north. So we're just going to count back 6 minutes. So here's 47 degrees. We're going to count down 6 minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to draw our imaginary line across here. And that gets us to the 46 degrees, 54 minutes north. And then we have 98 degrees, 36 minutes west. So here's 98 degrees west and here's 99. We're looking for 36. We know halfway is 30 minutes. So then all we need to do is count 6 minutes up. So here's our 5-minute tick mark. We do one more over and that's 6 minutes. So then we would draw our line straight up and down like this. So our lines are intersecting right in here. So we've identified where we're located. Now it's asking what must we receive prior to flying our unmanned aircraft in this area. So now we need to be able to identify this airspace. So you see this dashed magenta line here. That indicates that we have Class Echo airspace starting at the surface. Now, Class Echo airspace is controlled, which means that we must receive authorization from ATC before we take flight in this specific area. Now, I do want to point out, it's kind of on these two slides, it's written differently, the coordinates. So if you see here up at the top, you might get coordinates written like this. Now this is 46.9 degrees north. There's not much we can do with that information. We actually have to convert the 9 to minutes. And you'd have to do that by multiplying it by 6. And so it'd be 46 degrees, 54 minutes north. And then the other one was 0.6. You multiply it by 6, we get 90 degrees, 36 minutes west. So you might see it written like this. And if it is, you just have to convert it into minutes. Why they do it both ways, I'm not sure, but just to point that out. Okay, what does the line of latitude at area 4 measure? So we're looking at area 4 again, and it's asking about our line of latitude. So it's asking, what are we measuring? I'll give you guys a minute or two to throw your answers in the chat there. So latitude versus longitude. What are we measuring when we're talking about latitude? Nobody wants to give it a shot. All right, our answer here is the degrees of latitude north and south from the equator. Oh, now we got some answers. Thank you guys. Great job. Yep, our answer is B. So latitude and longitude, latitude is north and south from the equator, and then longitude is going through Greenwich, England. Okay, on a VFR sectional chart, what does an R with a circle around it represent? I know in the next slide, I believe, on the sectional chart, there is a example. So I'll show you guys what that looks like. Actually, let's see. Awesome. Thank you for the answers. Great job. Yeah, so on a VFR sectional chart, an R with a circle around it does represent a private airport. So what that would look like is this one down here says Johnson. You can even see in the parentheses above it, it says PVT, which means it's a private airport. An airport like this, where it's just a hollow circle, means that it's an anything but hard surface runway. So it's not a paved runway. Maybe it's grass or dirt strip or something. But if it's hollow, that means that it is not paved. But this is the example of that private airport. We even got a couple up here too. I don't know how to say these, so I'm not going to attempt it. But most of the time you'll see the PVT associated with it too, if it's a private airport. Okay, now to this question, what airport is located approximately 46 degrees, 40 minutes north and 101 degrees, 26 minutes west? I've already got one answer in there. Thank you, Tony. And I'll let you guys throw in your answers as well. Oh, okay. On the test, they refer to private as non-public. So I guess it's interchangeable. Yeah, private or a non-public airport. Now, if you wanted to land there, you could just call up the owner of the airport and ask if you could. Or if you wanted to operate your drone there, you could contact that pilot ahead of time. I'm sorry, the owner of the airstrip or airport ahead of time, and ask for their permission. I give you guys another minute to put these coordinates on the chart and identify what airport they're talking about. Nice, thank you, Ashton. All right, let's walk through it. So we got 47 degrees, 40 minutes north. So again, this one we have to work backwards because we're only given 48 degrees. So we got to go down from there because we know the number is going to decrease as we move south. So here's 48 degrees, and this would be 50 minutes here, and this would be 40 minutes here because they're the longer tick marks, right? Represent 10 minutes. So this would be 47 degrees, 50 minutes north. This would be 47 degrees, 40 minutes north, which is the one that we're looking for. So we would draw our line straight across. Perfect. That's pretend that was a straighter line. And then we have 101 degrees, 26 minutes west. So I can see the 101 degrees here. So we're going to move to the left because that number would increase. So we're going to just jump straight to the 30-minute mark because I do not want to count 26 tick marks. So we go straight to the 30, then we count back 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That gives us 101 degrees, 26 minutes west. We're going to draw this line straight up and down. Pretend again that that's more straight. And that gives us Garrison Airport. So another question on top of that. So we got Garrison Airport. What type of airspace surrounds Garrison Airport? Awesome. So we've got Echo airspace, and at what altitude does that Echo airspace start at? Yeah, exactly, 700. So our class Echo starts at 700 feet here. Below that would be our class Golf airspace. So that'd be our uncontrolled airspace below the 700 feet. Yep, 1200 if blue. So that the blue vignette actually covers our border. So on the inside here, the class Echo starts at 700, and on the outside, it starts at 1200. That being because that blue vignette is at our border. A class Delta, which somebody threw in there, would look like this up here. So you have this dashed blue circle here. That's our class Delta airspace. It starts at the surface and then goes up to the altitude identified in this box here. So this one goes up to 4,200 feet. Now, all of these altitudes, like this one's going to be an MSO. Okay, refer to figure 26. What is the height AGL of the tower located at 47 degrees, 14 minutes north and 98 degrees, 11 minutes west? So I'll let you guys first identify the tower, and then it's looking for the height in AGL. Now, for a lot of our obstacles, we are given the altitude in both MSL and AGL. So you just have to identify the correct one. Give you guys a minute or two. Cool, thank you, Tony. Okay, so we're looking at 47 degrees, 14 minutes. So let's identify that first. So we've got, here's 47 degrees, we're 14 minutes. So let's see, 47 here, here's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I'm going to draw an imaginary line across like that. So that's our 47 degrees, 14 minutes. And we have 98 degrees, 11 minutes west. Here's 98. And this would be 98 degrees, 30 minutes. We're looking for 11. So here's 98, 10. And then one more gives us 11 minutes. And then we're going to draw our line straight up like this. So where those two intersect is this obstacle here, or this tower here. Now it gives us two altitudes. This question is specifically asking us for AGL. So the number on top, the 1729, is going to be the altitude of that tower or obstruction in MSL. The altitude of that in AGL is going to be in parentheses below that. So yeah, these two they have two obstacles pretty close to each other. So this one you have to be pretty precise with the coordinates. But our answer here is C, 306 feet, because again, the number that's like italicized on top is going to be our altitude in MSL. The altitude in parentheses is AGL, so above ground level. So this question is asking for the altitude of that tower above ground level, AGL. So AGL is always going to be in parentheses. Yeah, I was just remembering the difference between the what information they're giving you. So AGL is in parentheses, MSL is going to be italicized. Okay, we're using the same figure. So you've been commissioned to fly in the wildlife preserve located at 47 degrees, 40 minutes north and 98 degrees, 31 minutes west. Can you accept this job? So this is another one where we're identifying a specific coordinate or coordinates and then having to identify the associated airspace and if we can fly in it. So I'll give you guys a minute to figure this one out. Nice. Thank you, Tony. That was quick. Alrighty, let's walk through this. So 47 degrees, 40 minutes north. Let's see, what information are we given? Okay, so here's 47 degrees north here. We know we jump straight up to 30 minutes. We're looking for 40, so we're just going to make our lives easy. Jump straight up to 30. And then from there, we're looking for the 10-minute mark, which is here. That gets us to 40 minutes. So we've got 47 degrees, 40 minutes north. Let's draw a line straight across like this. So you know we're in some sort of restricted airspace because all the way across this line, unless we're put over here, then maybe a MOA or even outside that. Then we've got 98 degrees, 31 minutes west. So we've got 98 here. If we jump straight halfway between 98 and 99, you can see our numbers there. That gives us 98 degrees, 30 minutes. We're looking for 31. So let's go over one more tick mark. Here's that 98 degrees, 31 minutes west. We're going to draw that line straight up and down. Now we were to intersect the two. Let's see, we were here. Yeah. It gets us right in this restricted area. So our answer here is yes. If you obtain prior permission from the controlling agency of restricted area R-5402. So we are allowed to operate our unmanned aircraft in a restricted area, again, as long as we're obtaining prior permission. Now they could easily say no, and they could also easily say yes. So either way, you just have to ask for permission first. A restricted area is going to be identified by the blue barbed line or circle, whatever shape it's making. And then the specific restricted airspace is going to be identified by an R and then dash the numbers for that specific one. Now, to find information about that restricted airspace, you would go to the top of your sectional chart on a paper one, and you're going to see information for all the different restricted airspaces. So you would find the R-5402. It's going to tell you the days and times that this airspace and altitudes is active, and then also the controlling agency to contact so you can ask for that permission. Oops, what happened to my computer? Oh, there we go. All right. that was all of the examples I had for you guys today. I will hang out for a few minutes to answer questions. I know Tony had a few, whether it's about today's topic or other topics from the course. Again, I'll try my best to answer them today. If I cannot, then I will get back to you later this week via email or the Facebook group. Can I send these questions out without interaction? If you would like to ask a question that you don't want the rest of the chat to see, you can throw it in the Q&A box that you guys have access to. If that's what you're asking. There's also a question asking what's the phone number you call, the one in the blue box. What blue box are you referring to? I don't know. Let me go back. Oh, for more information on, yeah, you can call the phone number as well. So you could either call that phone number, or if you were like a manned aircraft on the sectional chart, it gives you a radio frequency. You can contact them via that. But yeah, like I said, I will hang out for a few minutes to answer questions. Next week, we're going to have, I think, the same time, 5 o'clock Pacific time on Monday. It looks like we're going over part 107 eligibility next week. How can we tell the distance in nautical miles? For example, 11 nautical miles from. You can use a plotter, which you are allowed to use on your test as well. You can bring that in with you. So I would definitely recommend using that. They're only like a couple dollars, but I'll look up an aviation plotter. It'll give you can use it on attack, which is a terminal area chart. You can use it on a sectional, and it gives you nautical and statute mile measurements. So I would buy an aviation plotter. Questions about whether it's legal to operate with a foreign registered aircraft, what kind of registration you need with a foreign aircraft, and whether you can have dual registration on a single aircraft with US and foreign registration. Okay, off the top of my head, I couldn't verbatim know or say the reg. So if you want to shoot us an email, it's on our website. I can pull up the reg and send to you. I just don't want to misspeak because I don't know it off the top of my head. But I can get back to you with that answer, and to make sure that when we're making new course content, that we definitely cover that subject. I had a question in the Q&A about getting more questions through the course. My best advice would just be to continue working through our practice exams that we have in the course. As far as listening to the course while you're driving, we don't have like an audio book version. You could pull up the videos as long as you have, like, you'd have to use data to do so. But that would be the only way, yeah, because we don't have an audio book version of our course as of right now. You can pull up the YouTube videos that we have, or even we put all these live sessions, or at least have one for each topic, on our YouTube channel. So you could pull that up and listen to it in the car. But that would be the closest you can get to like an audio version of this. Yeah, no problem. Of course, we'll see you next week if you get to join us. 122.9 is fine. When you're scrolling through, it's only going to give you that option anyways. And yeah, we'll go ahead and add that to our course. I'll make note of it so that we can get that, or that foreign license topic, covered in the course, and some questions in there as well. We had kind of a small group today. Yeah, maybe in the future we could do something like an audiobook. When I was studying for my flight training, I found an audiobook of what's called the PHAC. So it's the Pilot Handbook of Aeronautical Knowledge. There's not too much in there on unmanned aircraft, or else I would suggest it. Actually, some chapters that would be good to study in the PHAC would be like the weather chapter, as well as there is a chapter on airspace. So I would listen to that audiobook when I was like, I don't know, cleaning up around the house or driving. So that could be a good resource. The entire book isn't going to apply to us, but there are definitely some chapters that would be applicable. But yeah, it's called the Pilot Handbook of Aeronautical Knowledge, also referred to as the PHAC. It is an FAA textbook, so if you Google FAA PHAC, the PDF is available online. So you can access it for free. As far as an audiobook, it was on Audible, so you pay like $15 a month for Audible, I think. And it was a good resource. So just kind of throwing that out there. We have to retake the test in 24 months. Are you allowed to take the test before you're expired so you don't have a lapse in certification? Yes, but I believe that there's a time window that they have you do within like a couple months span. So you could start like a couple months before and take it then, but I don't think it'll let you take it like the next day after you take your test. But yeah, you definitely don't have to wait till like the last day to take it. I would say within the month or two leading up to the 24 months. And what's nice is you don't have to go into a testing center anymore to take the test again. You just go on the FAA safety website and it's a recurrent training. So since it's a little kind of like course sort of thing, I would spend, started a month or two before. She can spend some time reviewing the material and then taking the quiz at the end of it. Thank you for joining and for the participation. I will see you guys next week. Hope you have a great rest of your week.